If you work hard all day moving packages, you could hurt your back.
Oh, not your back.
Take Natalie here. She weighs approximately 36 chihuahuas. Our next caller is a driver for UPS who hurt his back picking up something very heavy. Whee! Now you at home might be thinking that you can't hurt your back lifting up something heavy.
But it could happen to you, so stay tuned.
1, 2, 3.
Oh!
Do I break the floor? Sorry. I'm so sorry.
So the first accident was when I worked for UPS, and they had me doing a pickup, and it wasn't the safest pickup. Okay. I told my supervisor about it, and he had agreed that it wasn't safe.
Because of the weather or the neighborhood?
Hurting my upper back.
Because of the weather or the neighborhood? Why was it unsafe?
It wasn't the proper lifting maneuver. So it was a lot of lifting with the upper back and not using your legs.
Okay.
So it was a crate that had the wheels rather not in the corners like a normal thing would be, but it was on the sides. So it would always roll around too. For some reason, this pickup had always been like this and no one ever complained.
Okay.
Me not wanting to get hurt, I had addressed it. And so he had agreed that it wasn't safe and it wasn't adhering to their policies. And so he said he would look into it, and a month had gone by and nothing had happened. And he had talked to their to the pickup location's supervisor, and he had said that, oh, they're going to try to fix it, but he would have someone help me at the very least so that I wasn't getting hurt.
Okay. Wait, so you say getting hurt. So was this like a slow burn to getting hurt? Was it one package that fell? Did you try to pick one thing up and break something? Like, how did it happen?
How much did the crate weigh?
Yeah, great question.
The crate was big. I don't know how much the weight was. It was definitely over several hundred pounds.
Okay. So like 46 chihuahuas. That's how I like to think of that.
Say again?
46 chihuahuas.
Okay.
All right.
And did the box say fragile on it?
No,
okay.
None of them said it. They were all wood. Like,
okay.
It was a wood company.
So were they expecting you to push a couple 100 pounds or lift a couple 100 pounds?
Push it. So it would all be staged in that crate, and it would reach about...
That's a lot.
Just shy of my chest, maybe more like upper gut. And so I'd push it past one doorway that had a bump, then past another doorway that had a bump. So you have to do it quick to get it over the ramp.
So you're getting like a running start.
And then I would arch my back to get it out. And some of the packages were 10 pounds, and then a lot of them were in the 30s and 40s and sometimes 50.
Okay.
So those were not fun.
Okay, so you do this for a while, and then what happens? You get hurt.
So I do this for a while, and he tells me that they're working on it. They're going to get these new devices that they're paying for this company. And like it had gone by another month or so, and I'm getting it through the small corridor that has the two bumps. So I have to do it quick. And there's pipes in that corridor, and I don't know what these pipes are, but I know I probably don't want to hit it with over 200 pounds worth of product because something could happen.
So
I start trying to counter shift it. And when that happened, something in my lower back gave out.
Just all at once. You felt it sharp pain all at once.
Yes.
Okay.
And so I collapsed to one knee, and I was like, can I swear?
Yeah, you can. We'll bleep it.
I was like, oh shit. Like,
not
hey,
that
something's
one.
Wrong.
No, you can't say that one.
Dang it.
Didn't know you were going to go racial with it. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so you got hurt, and then what?
I tried to see if it would pass, and it didn't. So I get help from the guy who's in there. He reluctantly helps me.
Okay.
We get it all done. And so the whole time I'm thinking, I cannot go on comp. I can't afford getting cut and pay. I'm the only check for my house.
But you did go on workers' comp, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Tell me how that ended up.
And so to my boss's credit, he had told me I should go on comp. And I told him my situation, that I'm the only check and getting a 60% cut in my check, because I thought it would also be taxed. No one ever told me that comp was untaxed. So I was thinking 60%, then getting taxed. I'd have no check. We'd be screwed.
Yeah.
So he had put me on light duty-ish. So basically I wouldn't have any pickup, but I would still have my deliveries.
Okay.
And so I did that for the rest of the week. And then when I was taking my child out of the crib, I think he was 1 at this time, and it was a very similar motion to how that. So I'm getting him out of the crib.
Now,
and
how
when
heavy
I
was the
lifted him
child,
up,
like, in
I had that
chihuahuas?
same sharp pain shoot up, and I almost dropped him. And that's where I went, nope, I'm a liability to my family.
Okay.
I have to get better. Like, I need to go on comp. This isn't happening. I'm not going to go down the stairs and maybe this sharp pain happens and I drop him.
That sounds wise. Okay, so you go to a doctor at this point?
So I had to go see their doctor. And so their doctor puts me on light duty, which I laughed because I'm like, hey, I'm a UPS driver. Like, you know what we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as light duty.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm the post office just delivering letters.
Yeah.
Immediately from when I got there, I knew they weren't on my side because they had me wait there for over an hour. And then when they finally saw me, the nurses were super sweet, but the doctor couldn't give any less of a fuck about me.
Yeah.
So she told me I was on light duty, and I told her, like, what am I going to do light duty at UPS? She goes, without even making eye contact, just they'll figure something out, and walks away.
Yeah, it's horrible. I'm sorry to hear that. And yeah, that's rough. Okay, so you went through. You decide. They say light duty.
Yep.
You can't do that.
Nope.
So what happens next?
I get in contact with my shop steward because UPS is the drivers are all unionized. So I get in touch with my shop steward. He gives me some contact information, and they inform me I need to go see my own doctor because this is just how UPS operates.
Okay, so what does your doctor
They don't.
say?
Say again.
What does your doctor say?
So she tells me that she can basically put me in such a restriction that they're just not going to have me go in there.
Okay.
Because of, I don't really understand. I think she was just trying not to do a bunch of paperwork. But so she puts me on, I can't lift more than 5 pounds.
Okay.
And that I can't drive more than, I think it was 5 or 10 minutes. And so I live like half an hour away.
Yeah.
So I couldn't go there.
So you said that she said you can't lift more than 2 chihuahuas.
Did you
Yes.
ever find out if you had like a slip disc, or is it like just like a strained muscle or something?
Yeah.
So after going through a bunch of procedures and scans and stuff, they think I have a pinched nerve. And so something had happened where now it's pinched, and so anytime I lift heavy, that pain will show up.
And that's for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Wow, that's so horrible. Okay, so I guess I already have some notes here from your intake. So, but then there was another accident. You're really calling
Yes.
about. Okay, so now you're living your life. You're picking up the minimal
Separate
amount of
incidents.
chihuahuas you can every day. And then what happens where you get in a second accident?
So I'm starting to feel better. I lost a lot of weight. I started conditioning my core so that it would help with that pain.
Yeah.
And my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, wants to take us out to get gelato in Boston.
Okay, it's very specific.
Yep. And
Keep
so
going.
this is
Man,
at
you've
like
got trouble.
9 at night because this place is open super late. So we're going there, and because I specifically was like, I hate going into Boston. No one knows how to drive. Like, and he's like, oh, we'll go there late at night. There'll be hardly anyone. So we're like, okay, we're at a red light, and an Uber driver rear ends us.
Oh man.
And the doctors had explained that it was probably because I was so uncomfortable with the long drive that I was already tensed, and being tense during a car accident is not good.
Yeah. Well, you're also a ticking time bomb. It's literally eggshell doctrine. Do you know eggshell doctrine? Can you explain that to the crowd first?
Yeah, so the eggshell doctrine, or the thin skull rule, is part of tort or personal injury law, and it's basically you take your victim as you find them. So if they have a pre-existing condition, like for example a very thin skull, and you apply what 99% of the people would be just a tap on the head, but for that one person you fracture their skull because of the pre-existing condition. Doesn't matter that it's not what we call foreseeable. In other words, could you have anticipated that you would have caused that much injury? Because of the thin skull and the thin skull doctrine or thin skull rule, that's a foreseeable injury, and you're going to have to obviously pay whatever compensation.
So you take the victim as they are.
Take them as you find them.
Okay, so now you're sitting there with a pinched nerve, no chihuahuas in your lap, and you get rear-ended by an Uber driver.
Yep. And so so this happened, and because of that, UPS tries to worm their way out of paying me anything anymore because they're like, hey, you were almost better in their eyes. You're gonna have to go through the other people now. So my lawyers did their due diligence and put them still on the hook and told them, no, we're going to get him back to where he was, and then you're going to be back on the hook. So they had agreed to that. But during that time, I don't even fully understand what the issue was, but I had to use what was that acronym? Basically, so that I don't lose whatever medical benefits I was getting.
Cobra?
Say again?
Was it Cobra?
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
And so I had to do that. And so I had exhausted that. And then I'd had to start paying the co-pays for each of the appointments because I had still not gotten to that level where I was prior to the car accident.
What is the status of the rear end case? Is that settled? Is that still
Yeah,
open?
so that got settled. And the amount was like $5,000. And because of this car accident, things came to light that I didn't even know I had.
5,000 seems light, dude. That's like what a Mexican guy who doesn't have correct paperwork gives you in cash. That's not. We're not going through insurance for $5,000. Like,
things came in light, and where it was that I guess I had this condition that I can't remember what it was called, but basically
Forgetfulness.
where my skull meets my neck, that bottom part of my brain sticks out, and because of the car accident, it had aggravated headaches that I frequently got. So now I get really bad
your brain
headaches.
is sticking out?
And now I have really bad neck pain. And so now I can't even like sit on the couch and watch TV for too long because then my neck starts to hurt, which then starts giving me a headache. And I can't be on a computer for too long because then my neck starts to hurt and then I start getting headaches.
so let me see if I understand this. So your question is what?
I want to know if there's anything I can do, or did I completely screw myself because I took these settlements? Because when I was talking to the lawyers before the settlement, they had explained that even though it wasn't a safe pickup, and even though I had told UPS that it wasn't safe, I couldn't go after them because they pay like workers' comp insurance,
That's all I'm thinking.
and that I couldn't go after the company that I got hurt at because I was an employee at UPS. So they are the ones that are liable. Because like right now I'm in a situation where I can't even go and do the work that I used to do, or I can't even go and get any physical labor jobs because I can only support it for so long before it starts hurting me to the point that I got to rest.
Okay.
And then I can't even get a job that I can sit at a computer for 8 hours because I won't make it for 8 hours.
Okay, hold on a second, caller. We got a question from Natalie.
So the Uber driver, were they on duty with like a passenger in the car?
Yes.
Did you take them to court through Uber or just through the person's like individual insurance?
It was through the lawyers that I had already gotten through going after UPS.
Oh, okay. But the Uber driver, like, did you sue Uber or did you sue the individual
driver's
driver?
insurance, yeah.
I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
No, I mean, you guys are thinking I was on a jury case for an accident almost like this, where the woman who was injured sued the person who hit her, the person who was driving the car, the person who was driving the car she was in, and she then sued the case I was on. So she won all of them, by the way. When I was in the jury room, I saw her pull up in a Jaguar. I probably should have said something, right? So I see, but she made me sit there and learn about TMJ for 3 weeks. So, anyway, then she was also suing the tire company of the car that didn't stop on time to whatever. And her win streak ended with us.
Okay.
Yeah. But, yeah.
All right.
But she won all the other ones and was able to drive a Jaguar.
Yeah.
So, Yeah.
That's a good car. Do you know anyone that drives a Jaguar first?
Yeah, no comment.
This guy. All right.
I refuse to drive German cars. It's a war thing.
Probably the funniest thing about him driving a Jaguar is how tall are you actually?
6'6".
He's 6'6", and he's a healthy boy. Like he's heavy enough that I can't pick him up.
Breastfed
Definitely.
baby was.
Yeah, it's better
Yeah.
than a Fiat.
And he's driving a little.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Was it Hot Wheel? Basically, it's like a Hot Wheel.
It's I'd sort of have to put the car on.
Yeah.
To fit around me. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Caller.
Yes.
All right, buddy. Are you sitting down?
Yeah.
But yeah,
All
because
right.
he can't stand. He said
Yeah.
his back hurts. Yeah.
Haha. I know.
Sorry.
At least he's laughing. I
Right.
feel like at least he got laughs out of this.
Cheerfulness in the face of adversity.
Yeah.
Okay, so first off, my heart goes out to you, brother. I'm not going to do the Nazi salute, but my heart goes out to you, and this is why you need good lawyers. Okay, I reached over and I whispered with Furse. So neither of us primarily do personal injury stuff. So there are car accident experts that we can have look at this for you and see if get a second opinion, right, or a third opinion. But the issue here is you have actually settled both of these issues. You settled with your employer and you settled with the Uber driver, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there's very little wiggle room that you have once you accept the deal, right? Like once you accept the deal, it's hard to go back. So the first thing that we thought of is potentially going after your law firm or your lawyers. And ineffective counsel would be the argument, or legal malpractice. These are tough to perform. It's tough to perform for a couple reasons. One, lawyers don't usually like going after lawyers. So it's hard to find a law firm that will look at it and really take it seriously and want to go sue another law firm. The other reason it's tough to prove these is because, you accepted it at the time, right? So there's an understanding that it's kind of two people. It's both your lawyers. So the thing that jumps out to me here is you got like $5,000 for a car accident.
Yeah.
It feels like it wasn't just the Uber driver who was asleep at the wheel. It feels like your law firm was asleep at the wheel for $5,000.
Yeah. So how were you paying the law firm? Assume it was
They
a
would take a
contingency,
cut
wasn't
from
it?
whatever amount it was. So from like the car accident, I think it was 5,000, and then I ended up getting only like 3,300 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then with the
It's a lot of work for
UPS,
an
it was
attorney
like
just to make
$100,000
$2,000.
or shy of it, and then I got like I think it was like 80,000 or 70,000. I think.
From the first one. And
Say again?
You said you got 80,000-ish from the first settlement.
Yes.
And so the problem with that is you've got a lifetime injury. And so $80,000, like it's a nice amount of money, but it's not
Per
a
year,
lifetime. Yeah. I mean, how old are you, caller? Are you 97?
No, I'm 31.
Yeah.
You got a lot of life left, bro. I mean, like you start dividing $80,000 into every year for the rest of your life. It's like $1,400 a year, probably. Sorry, I didn't want to spoil when you die, but yeah, brother. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with trying to get you an ineffective assistance of counsel / legal malpractice look. I think that's the first thing that you're gonna want to look at. Most likely, the arguments for going back and tearing up your settlement, they're gonna be tough. They're going to be tough to prove. I have a question. Did your lawyers pressure you to settle? Were they like, hey, you have to take this. Hey, you need to take this. How did they lay it out to you? When your lawyer came to you with a whole whopping $3,000 for this Uber accident, what did they tell you?
God, it was so long ago. I
How
think
long
he said
ago
it was
was
the
it?
best that they could get.
How long ago was it?
January 2021 was when the car accident was.
Okay.
2024, sorry. 2024.
Okay.
So
That's
that's when the
not that
car
long
accident was. The work accident was April 2023.
Okay. And when they handed you the settlement, they said, this is the best we can get?
Yeah, for the car one. And they'd explain something about like how because of the other injury, that's going to be the bigger sum, and that this is all they can get right now because it would conflict with that case, something like that. And so I just took their word for it because they're lawyers. I don't know anything about it.
Well, whatever we do, very quickly, whatever we do, we need to be quick because I'm not entirely sure about Massachusetts, but in Texas, for example, what's called the statute of limitations on malpractice. In other words, how long you have to sue before the claims become barred and you can't sue anymore is like a year. So if we're talking about a payment in 2024, and we're now in March 25. We need to move pretty quickly because you might
Yeah,
end
the
up being
payments
out of
were,
time.
I think, July 2024.
Okay. I mean, there are certain arguments that can be made to extend that period, but as a lawyer, you never want to be in that position. You just want to file within the year if we're doing malpractice.
So I have a general question for people because this kind of seems like this would be a thing that happens to a lot of people. So my question is, if you're in like this gentleman's situation where you could get a buyout or a settlement, on those type of things, do you want to end up in a jury case just from being on as many as that I've been on? At least it feels like jury people kind of sway towards the victim, unless the victim's like kind of an ass or they know he's he slipped on purpose. Like so is there a better way?
There's not one answer.
There's not one answer. So you don't go, I'm not going to take it. Let's go to jury, because then you can end up with zero.
This happens on both sides.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you got the insurance company, you got whoever's the defense over here, and they're thinking about this, and then you've got your lawyer, you've got a plaintiff's lawyer that's thinking about this, and they're thinking, okay, how sympathetic is my client?
Right.
Because two people get hurt, two people have the same injury, but one person has a punchable face like me.
Yeah.
And the other person is a sweet old lady like Natalie.
Yeah.
But like the jury is going to side with the sweet old lady every single time. And with me, they're going to be like, oh, he can just pick himself up by his bootstraps. Like, I am not a sympathetic PI.
Well, also,
victim.
Again, not to take up all your time, being on the jury, and this is, you guys are probably like, oh, he's kind of an a-hole for this. I would always look at, if the attorney came in for whoever, there would be some attorneys that would have a nice suit, but crappy watches or crappy shoes. So I always looked at that and thought, this guy is an ambulance chaser, or he doesn't do this enough. He's got like his one like game day thing that he's not. So
Wait, so you wanted them to have the good watch, or you didn't want them? How?
Well,
No,
I'm fascinated because we have this debate all the time.
It's just, and you don't mean to do it, but when you go to jury, from the attorneys on either side, there's a lot of judgment that starts happening where you're not even looking at the case.
What was positive? What were you looking at negatively with the? So see, caller, like this is, I'm explaining, like this is all in the calculation too. But what were you looking for?
With the person who was suing everybody for just being a passenger, right? You could tell that attorney had those cases. Does that make sense?
You thought he wasn't a good attorney because he wasn't dressed expensively?
I thought he was putting on a show. Like
Okay.
Yeah, and
he didn't feel authentic.
That's completely wrong, but it's not. Look at me, I'm in flannel.
No, you're
and a
good.
crap
But
hat.
the other attorney seemed more put together, and that.
Yeah, and I thought the other guy was just like, he doesn't win a lot, or just because I looked at the shoes and his watch was the first thing that I saw.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I know that's a bad thing, but juries do think of weird crap like that when it's going on. You're switching the watch. Yeah, and see, now I respect you more.
So I was told early doors when I came over here, obviously coming from England has a slightly different system, but I was a trial attorney in England. I'm a trial attorney here. I was told like ditch the 3-piece suits and wear brown shoes, not black shoes, which in London would just get you laughed out of town.
That one too.
And where if you're going to small towns, like you have to drive a crappy car or a beaten up truck. And it just does seem really fraudulent to me because I'm going to get hometown wherever I go in Texas, so I just have to literally be me. So I turn up in a 3-piece suit and a white shirt and a tie and highly polished black shoes, and I drive a nice car, but that's who I am, and hopefully that comes across to the jury, and being put together and being organised rather than a guy trying to basically hoodwink the jury into like, hey, I'm a small town guy, and then he goes out and gets in his Euros or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take us home on this because I look the most serious and trustworthy right now.
Right, because
yeah. Okay, caller. So I think that your best path forward here is to do an evaluation of ineffective counsel. I think that you have a decent argument here based on the fact that, like, when they say, hey, 3,000, here's the best I could do, this is the best you can get, that's not a good way of framing. They should be like, hey, here's the offer on the table right now. It is 3,000. If we go to court, this might be difficult. This is your expected outcome, okay? But they should never tell you this is the best you can get, because that's not true. It's a range of outcomes. You never know what the jurors are going to be looking at. For John over here, it's the watches.
It's the shiny
right?
objects. I have ADD.
For someone else, thank you, by the way. For someone else, it could be, the shirt that you're wearing. For someone else, it could be whether you cried or not, right? But I think ineffective assistance to counsel is your best bet right now, and we're going to follow up with you, and we're going to try to find you. And I want to be honest with you, it's hard to find one, but we're going to help you look for one in Massachusetts that might evaluate this for you, okay?
I moved from Massachusetts.
Okay, but it happened there, right?
Yeah.
The lawyer that represented you was a Massachusetts lawyer?
Yes.
That's what's going to be relevant here, okay?
Oh, okay.
All right, brother. Do you feel like you were heard today? I'm sorry it's not a better answer of like, hey, here's your lotto ticket, but do you feel like you at least got some better understanding?
More than what I was expecting. I was honestly just expecting like, no, you're just shit out of luck.
Okay. Well, we would never say that even if it was true. Okay, caller. Thank you for calling.
That's
Harley
the name
Legal.
of your show. Yeah. That's how you end every show.
All right. We're going to follow up with you soon, okay? Have a great day.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Cheers.
What'd you think about that caller, John?
Those are always interesting to me. From being on as many juries that I have, it is I think a cool experience. People want to like get out of it usually all the time, and I've tried every time that I've been on one, and nobody ever put. I never get kicked off.
Would you want a professional comedian on your jury? I'm saying hell no. I don't want a professional comedian on the jury.
I was funny. I was on
It's
this.
so hard to call in voir dire, and it's funny actually. We're having this conversation in the week, and I think every trial lawyer has this story where there's at least one juror who is just like frowning at you and looks like they really hate you. And then when you finish the trial, the verdict comes in, and usually the judge will say to the jurors, maybe they did that in this case, hey, look, if any of you want to stick around at the end and talk to the lawyers, they love to get feedback and all the rest of it. And last time it happened to me a couple of years ago, I thought it's a fraud case with a sympathetic, defendant. I was representing the plaintiffs, and it was basically like a forged deed. And the defendant did not own the house, but somebody else had forged the deed. Anyway, so I had to be quite careful. I was very diplomatic, and I'm, look, you understand, this is a difficult case, and I've got to ask you these questions. And there was a juror just like frowning at me the whole time. And I started to get a bit worried. I changed up the rest of the trial presentation. I got my second chair in to do the next witness, so the jury wasn't getting bored with me or anything like that. Verdict comes in 15 minutes. We win, hands down, unanimous. Walk outside. Juror number 4 is waiting outside for me, and he's like, "Man, you nailed her. I didn't believe a word she was saying." I'm like, dude, I'm going to go and fire my paralegal because he's sitting there in the back going, by the way, juror number 4 hates you.
Yeah, well, I had one that was an officer-involved shooting, and then they're going through, and I also got, that was the first day of my divorce, so when the judge went around asking people, are you married or divorced, when he got to me, I go, I don't know how to answer that. I was just served today. And then I got, so like, what do I say? And everyone kind of laughed. And then they go through.
So that you saw a warm room, you're like, I'll stay.
I'll stay, yeah.
You
but I'm like,
lunch?
my grandfather was a police officer. He was killed online. I thought I was going to just get off. But they kept me on. And this case was like a famous case. So the next day, one of the jury's guys come and he said, yeah, he told the judge, I looked the case up online because there was a lot of news stories.
Goodbye.
And the guy got kicked off, but he did it on purpose.
Yeah.
So we're like, what the? So they kept me there. And at the end of it, the DA for Los Angeles, they came over to me and they go, whoa, for a couple times we thought we lost you. And so I was like the guy the whole time that they were speaking to.
I would be I would never let you on a jury.
Which was
because
weird.
You're so influential. Like I would never let a celebrity, but I would definitely never let a comedian on the jury because you have the ability to make any story go any direction that you want.
Especially in that, if you've ever had jury, when you're in that room, again, I don't know if I'm making a case for people you don't want to go to jury or it happened. So we were in this case for weeks and weeks, right? I had a huge corporate event that I had to go to or I was going to lose just a crap ton of money.
Yeah.
And nobody could decide. Whatever the rule is, it was tied, but you had whatever the thing was. One guy literally goes, we're going to decide what happens by 2 o'clock. My kid has a hockey tournament this weekend. I'm not coming back. That was people's lives or whatever were online because that's what the jury said. One guy had a hockey tournament. I wanted to go perform.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of flying through stuff, going through. And it was interesting. One guy played like he was, let's say, pro the defense the whole time, even when you weren't allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then when it was time to vote, he was lying the whole time to everybody. Like he would put off this false thing. It's super interesting.
You're like, I don't care how many
Concept.
murders. I don't care how many murders we have to let off. I'm doing 20 minutes at a Hewlett Packard luncheon.
yeah, for real. Yeah.
Non-refundable. That's non-refundable.
Yeah. But that's what fascinates me about law, just how that jury works. And I would look over and see people taking notes. And I would look at my notes, and I'd have the Van Halen symbol. I'm drawing pictures of you know what I mean, like the moon or the Death Star.
You just do like the Jackie Treehorn.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, everyone's taking all these notes. And
I have
I'm
this.
just sitting here.
I have this problem. I have this problem with my comedy where, like, practicing law, I see some really funny things happen, and then it's covered in confidentiality, and I'm just like, oh, I can never tell. I can never tell this someone's calling me, and I'm like, yeah, what, no, and then what, no, and I would love to go on stage and be like, oh, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hell yeah. Natalie, have you ever done jury duty?
No, I went because I got summoned, and then they didn't pick me. I don't know why. I was like, am I not cute?
What color was your hair at that time?
I can't remember. Probably blonde, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If it was blue or silver, I could say
Right,
political
yeah, they're
argument
like,
for it. Yeah,
don't do
but
it.
This is a more mature hairstyle for you right now.
It's my natural color.
I love it. Cool. John, where can we find more of your comedy?
If you go to I don't know, my johnheffron.com website kind of sucks. You go to the Instagram comedian John Heffron.
We have all those handles.
Things. I got a bunch of new books coming out. I just came out with a book of how to start stand up in your 40s. I have a crowd bending book, how to stage anchor, how to control a room, how to, attorneys could use this. I've seen a lot of trial attorneys that I'm like, boy, they're doing this wrong.
100%. I got into an argument with the guy who's normally here, Bill. We got into an argument on this because I was like, I've never done criminal work. And I was like, yo, I'm a 7-year comedian. I just did my special, whatever. I'm not that good, but I'm better than the average. Yeah, I'm better than the average person. Right. But I was like, yo, these closing arguments, like the way I'm seeing these people talk to the jury, these are really good lawyers. Mm-hmm. But as a comedian, I'm going, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. Like as a comedian, when you talk, when a regular person talks, the audience doesn't talk back. Like a jury just sits there and you're just looking at their faces, but they're not saying anything. When you do comedy, laughter is an unconscious response. Yeah. People are not thinking, oh, and now I laugh. They're laughing involuntarily. So as a comedian, you're up on stage and you're looking at hundreds of people. And you see what middle-aged black women laugh at, and you see what older white guys laugh at, and what younger non-binary white theys laugh at. And so you start to realize, like, oh, when I talk about this subject, the way I'm perceived, my words have to line up like this. And when I'm in Tulsa, it's got to sound different. And when I'm in LA, and that is something that lawyers never get, because they sit there and they do all these arguments, but they don't hear. They get one piece of data at the end, and it's the judgment.
I always try and put humour into whatever presentation I'm doing.
You got to come do some open mics.
Yeah, I've already got my opening, as you can probably tell from my... Ladies and gentlemen, as you can probably tell from my accent, or notice my accent, it's educated.
It's educated.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, I thought I heard
But the jury line is, as you can probably tell, I said, as you can probably tell from my accent and the fact that I'm wearing a 3-piece wool suit in Dallas in July. I wasn't born in Texas, but I got here as fast as I could. Everyone in the jury laughs at that one.
That's funny.
Everyone loves that. But I do lots of work in, obviously, federal court, bankruptcy court. So you're dealing with judges a lot of the time who are just bored out of their mind. So I'll have, like, GIFs. I'll have memes in, like, on my slide deck. I'll be going through. We've had, like, if there's a motion to dismiss our case, I've had the Leslie Nielsen in front of the burning building just saying, move along, nothing to see here. And explosions and everything. That's, how you explain a motion to dismiss.
It's amazing.
If your law firm wants to hire John Heffron to do your jury coaching, your jury selection, just find him on Instagram.
Fun man.
Natalie, what do you got going on? Where we can get hairstyling from you? What are you promoting?
I have a little place in Lake Highlands.
I love it.
A little studio. And then, I don't know. I'm really boring right now.
She's not boring. She's amazing. Okay, guys, that is Hardly Legal. If you have a crazy legal story and you want to talk to some lawyers anonymously, for free, call us.
Wait, we're not getting paid?
Nothing at all. I don't know how we're going to pay for it, to be honest.